Good morning, dear students of class 11 science. Welcome to biology class. Today we will learn about the economic importance of kingdom fungi. So here we will see the role of fungi in the field of medicine, bakery, environmental decomposition. Then we'll go with the definition of lichens and mycorrhiza. Then we'll learn about the viruses and the viroids. Then this chapter will be over. Okay, so let's see the general role of fungi. So we have learned that fungi are one of the most important group of organisms on the planet, right? Because it used to play a very significant role in our ecosystems. So following are some of the useful importance of fungi. First one, just see in recycling. Just copy it, okay? Write it down. In recycling, because fungi, they are an important decomposers. Decomposers means which will help in the process of decomposition, which will help in the decaying of dead and decayed organisms, the remains of dead plants or animals. Okay, so they play a major role in the recycling of the dead and decayed matter. So they are the decomposers, the important decomposers. Then food, right? Like mushrooms, the fungi, agaricus, which you have learned, the edible fungi, they are the one which can be used as a food by the humans. Then in medicines like penicillin, you have heard the antibiotic obtained from Penicillium notatum, right? So it can be used as a medicine, it can be used as an antibiotic. Then fungi are also used as biocontrol agents, because they are involved in exploiting insects or the small worms and help in controlling the pest. So they used to act as in biocontrol agents, where we are using the living organisms to control the multiplication of insects and the pest. Clear? Then they also play a major role in the food spoilage. Clear? They used to cause the food poisoning. Remember, food poisoning is one. Okay, so they play a major role in recycling organic materials and are responsible for the major spoilage and economic loss of the stored food also. So these are the general role or the importance of fungi. So kindly note it down. Okay, so now in details we just see the importance in medicines, the importance of fungi in the field of medicines. So metabolites of fungi are of great commercial importance. Clear? I will just tell you the point, kindly note it down. Okay, antibiotics are the substances produced by the fungi, useful for treatment of the disease caused by the pathogens. Pathogens means disease causing organisms. So antibodies are antibiotics produced by actinomycetes and molds inhibit the growth of other microbes. So kindly note down this one, that antibiotics which are used for the treatment of the disease caused by the pathogens are produced by the actinomycetes and from the molds, which used to inhibit, which used to stop the growth of the microbes. Number 3, answer. So apart from the curing diseases, antibiotics are also used mainly to feed the animals for speedy growth and improve to meat quality also. Okay, now this is very important point. Penicillin, the widely used antibiotic, is lethal for the survival of the microbes. The reason it is extensively used is since it has no effect on human cells but kills the gram-positive bacteria. This is very important point. Okay, so penicillin, which is obtained from Penicillium notatum, is an important antibiotic. Okay, it used to kill the gram-positive bacteria. We have learned about the gram-positive bacteria and the gram-negative bacteria already. Okay, next point also note it down. Streptomycin, another antibiotic, is also great medicinal value. It is more powerful than the penicillin and it destroys the gram-negative bacteria. Okay, next one. Yield soluble antibiotics are used to check the growth of yeast and bacteria and treating plant diseases. Don't go this one. Administrations of aggressiflovin results in the absorption of keratinized tissues and are used to treat the fungal skin diseases. Okay, then ergot is used in the medicines and the vet industry, used to control the bleeding post childbirth. Then LSD, lysergic acid, is a derivative of ergot. Okay, then consuming fungi called Clavatia prevent cancer of the stomach. So over here I'll just tell you the important points, note it down. Okay, so first one, you will copy this point. Okay, so what antibody, what are pathogens, you will copy this point. Then the most important one, you will copy about penicillin, the antibiotic. Then you will copy about the antibiotic streptomycin. Clear? Then this one also, okay, the Clavatia, you will also copy this one. So these are the example of few fungi which are used in the field of medicines. Clear? Next one, we will check the role of fungi in the field of bakery also. Okay, so mainly the yeast we have got over here, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, is used as the baker's yeast, that it is used in the field of bakery. Okay, so since it is used in the baking field, in the bakeries, preparation of bread, okay, so it is also known as baker's yeast. So it are like this particular Saccharomyces, they are mainly used in the baking industries, mainly by the process known as fermentations. Okay, so let's go with this one. There are certain fungi which are used in the food processing, while some are consumed directly. Okay, for example, mushrooms which can be consumed directly by the human beings. Then fungi constitute the basis in the baking and the brewing industry. It is very important. Okay, so they are mainly used in the baking and the brewing industries, and they are mainly used in the industry by the process known as fermentation. Okay, so they bring about fermentation of sugar by the enzyme called the chymase, and they're also used in producing alcohol. Okay, so this particular fungi, we can say the yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, they're also used in the field of bakery also. They're also used in the field of breweries also for making alcohols. Now, carbon dioxide, a byproduct in the process, is used as dry ice and also in the baking industry to make the dough, rising and lightening of dough. Okay, so in general we can say that fungi are also very much useful in the field of bakery, in the field of bakery industries for making bread. Okay, and simultaneously they are also very much useful in the process of making alcohol also. So in general we can say that Saccharomyces cerevisiae is not the baker's yeast, which are mainly used in the field of baking industry, and similarly the same yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, can also be used in making alcohol, okay, in the field of breweries. Clear? Very important. Next one here. So Bacillomycetes are among the best decomposers of the food. I told you that fungi are the important decomposers which is to bring the decomposition of the dead remains of plant and animals. So mainly the class Bacillomycetes, the fungi which belong to Bacillomycetes, they are important decomposers of the food. Okay, they can decompose even the cellulose and the lignin, which are not destroyed by the other fungi and the bacteria. So they used to act in very important decomposers and play important role in decomposition. Okay, now next one, what is lichens? So lichens is mainly a symbiotic association between the algae and the fungi. It's very important. Okay, lichens is an intimate association or a symbiotic association between the algae and the fungi, where both of them will be mutually benefited. Okay, so in lichens, the fungal component, second point, write down. In lichens, okay, the fungal component is known as mycobiont and the algal component is known as phycobiont. Okay, so lichen is mainly the symbiotic association or the intimate association between algae and fungi, in which both of them will be mutually benefited. So the fungal component is known as mycobiont and the algal component is known as phycobiont. Okay, so the phycobiont, the algae will synthesize the organic food materials by the process of photosynthesis, and in case if it is cyanobacteria, then it will also help in nitrogen fixation. And simultaneously the mycobacterium, okay, the fungal components will protect the algae, absorbs water and mineral from the lichens and attach the thallus to the substratum. So here you can see that both the algae and the fungi are mutually benefited from each other. Okay, so therefore this association between them is known as lichens, where both the algae and the fungi are being mutually benefited. Okay, so algae is providing the food to the fungi, and in return fungi is providing protection to the algae. It absorbs the water and minerals for the algae part. Okay, so this is the importance of lichens. So let's see over here. So relation between algae and between algae and fungus in lichen is an important example of symbiosis, where both of them will be mutually benefited. I am telling you that. Okay, so now let's see the importance, let's see the advantage that they are getting from each other. So algae will prepare the organic food from carbon dioxide and water by the process of photosynthesis to the fungus. But in return now, the fungus provide protection to the algae and will fix the lichen to the substratum. And in case if the algal part is the cyanobacterium, the blue-green algae, it will also help in nitrogen fixation. Okay, so algae is providing food to the fungi or to the fungus, and if it is cyanobacterium, the blue-green algae, it is also helping in nitrogen fixation. And on the other hand, the fungus is providing protection to the algae and also providing substratum to the lichens. Okay, and also absorbs moisture from the atmosphere. So the advantage or the benefit they are getting from each other in an association known as lichens. Now similarly, we have got another association known as mycorrhiza. Okay, so mycorrhiza, you will go through the book through the page number 2.61. Okay, mycorrhiza is also a symbiotic association of the fungus with the roots of the higher plants. Listen very carefully. Okay, mycorrhiza is in the page number 2.61. Kindly go through it. Okay, so mycorrhiza is also a symbiotic association of fungus with the roots of the higher plants, where both of them will be mutually benefited. Clear? So here we have got two types of mycorrhiza: ectomycorrhiza and endomycorrhiza. Clear? So go through it also. We have got ectomycorrhiza and we have got endomycorrhiza. Now let's see the advantage that they are getting of each other, the fungus in the root. Okay, the fungus absorbs water and minerals from the soil and gives it to the roots. Listen very carefully, mark it in the book. Okay, the fungus absorbs water and minerals from the soil and gives it to the roots, and in return it gets sugar and shelter from the plant. Clear? Within the plant or within the root, the fungus remains in restricted area and does not damage it. The fungus also produces growth promoting and antimicrobial substances. So here in case of mycorrhiza also, both of them, the fungus along with the roots of the plants are being mutually benefited from each other. And go to the difference between ectomycorrhiza and endomycorrhiza. It's in the table number 2.15, page number 2.62. Okay, ecto means outside, endo means inside. So kindly go through it. Now we'll go with the next topic, that is viruses. So what are viruses? So viruses are the most primitive, means older. Okay, acellular means without cellular components, without cellular bodies. Okay, and they're highly infectious agents. They're smaller than the bacteria and they are mainly composed of nucleic acid and the proteins. They are obligate parasite, means they cannot survive without the host. Okay, in order to multiply, in order to survive, they require the body of a host. So they are called obligate parasite. They are totally dependent on the body of the host. Now let's go through few the scientists. So D.J. Ivanovsky discovered the TMV, tobacco mosaic virus. You have to remember the contribution of the scientist name. Okay, D.J. Ivanovsky, he discovered the tobacco mosaic virus. Then M.W. Weijering, he demonstrated that the extract of infected tobacco plants could cause infection in other healthy plants. So he referred to the virus as Contagium vivium fluidium, meaning infectious living fluids. Remember this name also. Then third one, W.M. Stanley in 1995 further proved that viruses could be crystallized. Okay, which means that viral crystals are protein in crystals. In addition, they also have genetic materials, either DNA or RNA. Clear? So can you remember the name of the three scientists, Ivanovsky, Weijering and Stanley. This will come in examinations, the contributions of the scientist. Okay, now let's go to the structures of viruses, tobacco mosaic viruses. Okay, so it's in the page number 2.65. So what you remember? You remember what a virus is, then you remember the contribution of scientists, then you will remember the characteristics of viruses. Okay, so what we have learned right now, these are the characteristics of the viruses. So you learn it, then you will go to the page number 2.65. you will learn the structure of tobacco mosaic virus. So before that, remember this thing. Okay, the protein coat which are present in virus, listen very carefully, the protein coat which are present in virus is called capsid, CAPSID. And telling one more time, the protein coat which are present in the viruses, they are called capsid, and the protein subunits are called the capsomeres. Clear? So don't forget the term capsid and capsomere. The protein code is called the capsid and the protein subunits are called the capsomere. So now let's go to the TMB structure, tobacco structure, which is discovered by Ivanovsky. So it is a rod-shaped virus measuring about 3000 angstrom, that means 300 nanometer in length and 175 angstrom in diameter. Okay, so let's see the structure now. So the genetic material in TMB is RNA. So it is made up of RNA and protein. So the genetic material in case of TMB is RNA. So first one, it is rod-shaped bacteria which measures about 300 nanometer in length and has got a diameter of 175 angstrom. Genetic material is RNA and other proteins. And the capsid means the protein code is made up of the protein subunits, which is called the capsomere. So there are approximately 2100 identical capsomere. Clear? So capsid means the protein code, and the protein code in case of TMB is made up of approximately 2100 identical capsomere. Capsomere means the protein subunits. Clear? And these particular capsomeres, they are arranged around the central axis. Can you see over the helical manner? The central axis, which are arranged in the helical manner. Okay, so the helical manner. So these capsomeres are arranged around the central axis in a helical manner. And RNA is single stranded. You can see over there. You can see the RNA helix. So this RNA helix, okay, over here, this one is the single stranded one. Okay, and it's helically coiled. If you remember DNA, helically twisted structure. So RNA is also single stranded, helically coiled around the central axis. So it extends throughout the virus particle. So TMB is naked virus without any additional covering outside the capsid. So we'll just find the protein code, and protein code is not covered by any other thing. So it is called naked virus also. So simple TMB was discovered by Ivanovsky. Rod-shaped virus measuring about 3000 angstrom or 300 nanometer diameter, 175 angstrom, or we can say 17.5 nanometer. Genetic material is RNA, made of proteins, and approximately there are 2100 identical protein subunits called capsomeres, okay, which are arranged in a central axis in a helical manner. So RNA is single stranded, helically coiled on the central axis. Clear? And it extends throughout the virus particles. And here we can say that TMB is a naked virus because we don't find any additional covering outside the capsid. Capsid means the protein code. Clear this one? Okay. Now similarly, we will go through the structure of the bacteriophage, the virus that can infect the bacteria. Okay. So viruses which parasites bacteria are called the bacteriophage. To remember this one. Okay. The viruses which will infect the bacteria, they are called bacteriophage, and it was discovered by F.W. Todd in England in 1915 and Felix de Herelle in France in 1917. Okay, so what do you mean of bacteriophage? They are the viruses which will infect the bacteria. So let's go to the structures. So it looks like a tadpole in shape. Okay, it looks like a tadpole in structures with a hexagonal head and a tail. So when we look into the structure of a bacteria, which are bacteriophage, we will find a head region and we will find a tail region. Okay, so the head, this head is 650 angstrom in diameter. Clear? So the head part is nearly 650 angstrom in diameter, and it has a protein code which is made up of double-stranded DNA. Clear? So protein code is made up of DNA. Now the cylindrical tail is made entirely of protein. Can you see the tail over here? So the cylindrical portion, this particular tail region, is made up of protein, and it has a core tube also, which is filled with the enzyme lysozymes, which will help to penetrate the bacteriophage into the host cell or the bacteria. Remember that tail piece is completely made up of proteins, and it has a core tube which contains the lysozyme, and that lysozyme will help this bacteriophage to penetrate its DNA into the host cell, and the host cell is mainly the bacteria. Now the basal end of the tail has a hexagonal end plate. So can you see over here? So this one, this particular end plate, okay, this is the end plate, this is the hexagonal end plate, okay. So this one is the end plate. Then each corner of hexagonal plate has a thin tail fiber. So can you see the structures? Looks like the Lego spider. So this is known as tail fiber. So each corner of hexagonal plate, end plate, has a tail fiber, and this tail fiber and the end plate, right, helps in the attachment of bacteriophage into the bacterial cells. And the upper part of the end tail, very carefully, and the upper end of the tail is attached to the head by the help of a collar. Okay, the upper end of the tail is attached to the headpiece by the help of a collar, C-O-L-L-A-R, collar. So one more time, bacteriophage are the viruses which will infect the bacteria. It looks like a tadpole structures with a head and a tail piece. It has a protein core which is made up of double-stranded DNA. Okay, cylindrical tail is made up of proteins, and it has a core tube which contains the lysozyme, and that will help this bacteriophage to penetrate this DNA into the host cell. And the bacillin will find the end plates, and from the end plates will find the appearance of tail fiber. So the tail fiber and the end plates will help this bacteriophage to attach with the bacterial cells, and the upper part of the tail is attached to the head by the help of a collar, C-O-L-L-A-R, collar. Clear? So remember the structure of tobacco mosaic virus and the structure of the bacteriophage virus. Clear? Now last one, we will go through the connecting link between virus, like between living and non-living, because when we defined viruses, we said that virus, it acts as in living and non-living. Okay, it's a connecting link between the living and non-living. Why? Because if it is not present within the body of the host, if it is outside the body of the host, then it does not show the property of a living being. But once it enters the body of the host, it shows the property of a living organisms. So it forms a connecting link between the living and the non-living thing. So let's see now what are the characteristics of viruses that shows it as a living being. So they occur in different varieties or strains, different types. Okay, they have their own genetic materials. They can undergo mutation, means changes. They can undergo changes. They can undergo mutations. So mutation means changes. Okay, they reproduce using the metabolic machinery of the host cells they infect. So whatever the host they will infect, so by using the metabolic machinery of the host, they can multiply. They will reproduce. They get destroyed by the ultraviolet rays. So these are the characteristics which shows the living features of a virus. And what are the non-living features of virus? They lack a cellular structures, they are acellular, they lack enzyme system, and do not have metabolic activity of their own. So they are totally dependent on the metabolic activity of the host. They can be crystallized and can be stored in bottle like crystals. They do not respire. Okay, and viruses shares the property of both living and non-living. Okay, so by just looking over, you can say that viruses, they used to show the characteristics of both the living and non-living, and you can say that they are mainly the biologist puzzle. Okay, so last one, what do you mean by viroids? So just go to definition. Okay, so viruses are the smallest known self-replicating particles, and we discovered Weidner, a plant pathologist, and they are more smaller than the viruses. Very important. Okay, they are the smallest known self-replicating particles, and they are the smaller than viruses and are composed of RNA only. Okay, so the RNA is single-stranded of low molecular weight. Clear? And let's go to third paragraph. Viruses are the causative agents of potato spindle tuber disease, PST, chrysanthemum stunt disease, cucumber pale fruit disease, and the tomato apical stunt disease. Okay, and they are presumed to enter into the crop plants from some unknown wild plant. So kindly go through this. Okay, so viruses are the smallest known self-replicating particle. They're smaller than the viruses and are composed of RNA, and RNA is single-stranded of low molecular weight, and they are the causative agents of potato spindle tuber disease, chrysanthemum stunt disease, cucumber pale fruit disease, and the tomato apical stunt disease. So kindly go through this. Clear? So here we have finished the chapter biological classification. From the next class we will begin with the third chapter, that is plant kingdom. Clear? Okay, so see you in next class, and in next class we will begin with the new chapter. Thank you, and see you in next class.